So I want to walk through, Dr. Chris did the educational sales presentation. Essentially what it is, it's the only type of marketing that gets the 92% of the, remember, only 8% of the population is looking for a chiropractor throughout the year. It's a small number. 92% are not. Now, out of that 92%, 3 out of 4 of them have a chiropractic gateway problem, back pain, neck pain, arthritis, joint pain, things like that, but they're not looking for a chiropractor. So the key to create a lot of new patients is not trying to get, not, going after the 8% as much as knowing how to go after the 68%. That's a much bigger number than 8%. Now, unfortunately, there's only one type of marketing that gets it. It's called educational sales. Advertising will not get those people, and neither will publicity. And the example that I give, it's like if you wanted a steak, you were hungry for dinner and you wanted a steak, and you were going out looking for a steak restaurant, and you drove down the road and you saw a seafood restaurant. You'd pass right by it because you were looking for steak. And that's what this huge market is doing. That's why the second leading new patients to a medical doctor's office is back pain patients. There's more back pain patients driving by chiropractors' offices every day going to the local medical doctor. And it's for mechanical back pain. Now, when you're a chiropractor, you go, that's crazy. Well, that's the market. That's the way the market is. And that's what's happened with how bad a job chiropractic has done over 120 years with branding. It's the second leading cause of going to the emergency room. There's more people going to the emergency room for back pain than going to the chiropractor's office. It's a second leading workers' compensation injury. So the number one over-the-counter medication is for joint pain. So you got a huge amount of people that have typical chiropractic problems. And by the way, when I say typical chiropractic problems, I'm talking about the gateways. Well, what are the statistics show why people go to chiropractors? 84% for back pain, neck pain, headaches. Those are the gateways. 7% for neuromusculoskeletal extremities. That's 91% right there of 8%. Okay. So having said that, when you know educational sales, and again, this is when my life changed. When I learned educational sales, that's when I went from 1 office to 2 offices to 5 offices, ended up owning 77 offices in 20 states, because I did not have to wait around for a small number of people, 8%, to call my office. We could create them at will because we knew how to go to this big, I always call it like there's a big lake over here that's stuffed with fish. That's the 92%. And then you got this real small pond with very few fish in it, and that's the 8%. And you got 99% of the chiropractors in this fishing out of this one pond with not many fish. And you got this huge lake over here, and you only have 1% of the chiropractors that know how to come over here and just pull fish out left and right. And that's called educational sales. It's not advertising. Well, that's what Dr. Chris did. So Dr. Chris learned patient education and retention. So he learned how to keep patients. So what percentage, Dr. Chris, of your patients are prepaying for care now? Or signing up for your plans?
77%.
77. So over 75% of the people, when Dr. Chris does his presentation and his education, 77% of them say, yeah, I'll take it. And they stay for all 3 phases of care, and they go into biweekly payments. And that's huge. Okay. That's the first step, because if you don't know how to keep patients, you got to pay for patients. They're worse patients. Your overhead goes up, your profit goes down. It's a huge negative downhill slide when you don't know how to keep patients, and you need a lot less patients when you know how to keep them. So Chris did that first. So his practice comes up. Then we go over to the marketing, and I teach him the educational sales presentation, and that's how to get a lot of patients fast. And these are all the people that are not looking for a chiropractor. So Dr. Chris, if it's okay with you, let's walk through how you did that. So Dr. Chris does a presentation. His very first one, there's 6 potential new patients there. None of them were looking to go to a chiropractor, and he got all 6 of them as chiropractic patients. And then he did another presentation. There was 2, and he got those 2. In other words, he's 8 for 8. Is that right, Chris?
That's correct.
Of 8 potential people, he signed all of them up. And Chris, how many of them were looking to go to a chiropractor prior to you talking to them?
None of them.
None of them. Okay, so let's walk through the steps. Now, when you first learned educational sales, what did you think about it? What was your perception? Did you have any thoughts about it?
Uh, not necessarily. No, I was just wondering. Well, I was wondering if it was really going to work before
Okay,
I did it. Yeah,
okay, all right. Okay, so we taught you the basics and we taught you what to emphasize, right?
right,
And we made a real clear distinction that there's a difference between education and sales. In other words, content and sales. In other words, if you just gave content, it wouldn't have worked.
right.
You had to include, now the word sales scares people. And all sales is establishing need, minimizing time and money. That's essentially what it is. So you can give a great presentation and not get any. Can you see how you could have given a great presentation and not establish need or minimize time or money, and you'd have got no new patients?
Yeah, that's what I've done in the past.
There, yeah. And a matter of fact, that's what most chiropractors do. They give content, and then they typically don't do very well with getting much business. Okay, so you go ahead and do it. So you set it up, and these were cold calls, right? You didn't know them, or they knew you, or what was the situation with them?
Right, these were cold calls.
Okay, so it's the worst potential type of business. There's no trust there. You didn't know them, and then he signs them up, and we teach how to sign them up and get them to the meeting. So we did that. So how many people did you have there for the presentation? Your first presentation?
The first one I had 6 people.
Okay, 6. All right. So 6 people there, and then so you get them all seated, right?
Yep,
I get you had them serve drinks first, right?
served the drinks first.
Held off on the food, right?
Yep, held up on the
Okay.
food.
You walk through the presentation, and how'd it go? Take me through the presentation. Did you start engaging them with if they had any problems or gateways right away? Matter of fact, you didn't even invite them, I think, unless when they felt that they wanted to come to the presentation, they had a problem, right?
That was correct. Yep, they
Okay,
had to have a
so
problem.
we already filtered them that they had a problem to some degree. So we already there, even though there were cold calls, we knew we had 6 potential patients there that had chiropractic problems that were not seeking chiropractic care, right?
Right.
Okay. So you engage them, you take them through. How well did they engage with you, or how well did you engage them as you were going through it?
I was surprised, I was able to engage them a lot. They were able to answer the questions as we went through the presentation. It worked pretty well.
And so you got them all to participate with you, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And they all admitted to their problems, right?
they did. They all admitted to
And
the problem.
then did you get them to see the differences between chiropractic and the other healthcare professions in the triangle of health?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Then did you get them to see the origin of the problem, whether it was major or minor trauma?
Yes.
You got them to admit the cause of their problem,
Yep.
and then they admitted to their symptoms, right?
Yes, they did.
Did you engage them with activities of daily living?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How were they coming along at this point when they were admitting their problem, the activities of daily living that caused it? How's the interaction going?
And, initially, because there's not a lot of trust, it was slow to open up. But by the time we got to the ADLs, they really started to open up
Okay.
and
In other
talk
words, you were
more.
connecting to them and making sense, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you got all of them to admit they had a problem, they had the symptoms. They had the major minor trauma and all the ADLs, right?
Right.
Okay. So we establish need. Then we go into the solution mode. Now they, in all likelihood, have never heard of the three phases of healing, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So you put the three phases and you had it in an outline form on a sheet of paper, right?
Yeah, I did. I had an outline that everybody was able to follow with me through.
Okay. So, and then we do a comparison contrast. So we go through each of the three phases of healing and we do a comparison contrast between a medical doctor, physical therapist, and chiropractor, right?
That's right.
Did they participate? Did you get them to participate what they were doing for the inflammatory phase?
Yeah, I did get them to participate.
And they were probably all taking medication, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then you go into what's the goal of the repair phase? And then you explain the difference between medicine and chiropractic and physical therapy, right?
Right.
And they were probably still getting medication in that phase also, right?
That's correct.
Were they aware of all the potential negative side effects of healing?
Yeah, they were.
They were.
Well, they weren't before the presentation. No, no, at
Oh,
that point they didn't know. Yeah,
okay, so you shared with them these are the negative aspects of healing wrong.
right, right,
Okay, so you go into the remodel phase, right?
right.
Explain that. Do the comparison contrast. How much you usually when I do it, usually everybody's engaged and their eyes are wide open and they can see what's going on and what's been happening with their healthcare right about now. Is that what happened with you?
Yeah, that they kind of seen that how it was without chiropractic care versus, getting medicine and physical therapy. They could see the difference at that point.
Right. And then could they also see why now they could potentially start having permanent problems to some degree?
Yeah, they could.
Okay. So usually at that particular time, they're really with you because they've admitted to their problem and now they see the solution. And who's the only solution when you do the comparison and contrast and in through each of the three phases of healing? Who's the only solution for those physical injuries? You, the
We
chiropractor.
are.
How easy was it for them to see that by the time you finished the three phases of healing?
It was so easy.
Crystal
Yeah.
clear. Yeah, okay. I imagine it's probably going pretty good right now, isn't it? The present.
Yeah.
I'm mad. How you feeling right about now?
Uh, I feel pretty good about the way it's going. Now here comes the offer, and that's what I was really most concerned about.
Okay. Okay. So I would imagine your confidence just kept getting stronger and stronger as you kept going through it, right?
It did. Yeah, it did.
Because I mean, they're following right along with you, right? It's in other words,
Yeah,
everything you're
I
saying
was
is
amazed
real
by
to
that.
them.
Right. Yeah. I was amazed of how easy it was to engage with them, how they interact with me, how it makes sense to them.
And we never brought up the word subluxation once, did we?
Not one time.
We didn't do any confusion, did we?
No, we didn't.
Not once. In other words, everything we said they could relate to, could they not?
They could.
There you
They
go.
could.
Okay, so you finished with the comparison contrast, all that. So how'd the offer go? You start going through the offer. How'd that walk me through that?
So I started going through the offer. I mentioned, consultation, the exam, and I mentioned each test that we would do and how we would do it to have a specific therapy to help with each test. And I mentioned the chiropractic treatments. I offered 3 chiropractic
So you so
treatments.
you were pretty specific in that offer then, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
In other words, you paid a lot of attention to features and benefits and diagnostics and therapeutics, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So they had a complete idea of why they had the problem. By this time, they had the complete idea of why they had the problem, how it was affecting their lifestyle, the solution, and the different types of providers, what they would do to each of the three phases of healing relative to you. And then you give them the offer, which is an easy way to stair step into care by minimizing money and time. So you give them a detailed offer with this, with more specific solutions of how you're going to solve that problem. And so you finish, and when you make the offer, what happened? Did you ask them to raise their hand when you say how many want to take advantage of the offer? Tell me how that happened.
So at the end, what I did say, I said, we're gonna go ahead and allow them to serve you dinner. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around to you individually and go over the sheet that I had you fill out, and see if you would like to accept our offer.
Very good. And the reason was that because now you could personalize and go one-on-one, right?
Right?
Okay, you pull up to the first person, you walk through the sheet, right?
That's correct.
You walk through everything they just admitted to, right?
Yep,
And then you restated the offer, right?
that's right.
And then what'd you say?
I said, would you like to accept the offer? And they said yes.
How easy did the first one say yes?
Uh, it was pretty easy. Yeah, it was pretty easy. It wasn't much hesitation.
Did it
Yeah,
shock you?
it did.
And the reason I'm putting emphasis on this, Dr. Chris, that was the very first time you created business out of thin air.
That's correct. That's true.
They were not looking for a chiropractor at all. And you created a new patient because you had the knowledge and skill. You go to the next one, what happens?
I do the same thing.
And they jump right in.
They jump right in.
How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good.
You
Feeling
go to
pretty
the
good.
next one.
They say yes.
How you feeling now?
I'm feeling kind of like I'm surprised. I'm surprised, but I'm like happy. This is
Are you
really happening.
are you surprised how well it worked?
Yes. I'm surprised how easy it was because I thought the presentation, I'm thinking it wasn't that long at all. But I was surprised how they respond to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the reason they respond to it because it's totally reverse engineering based on their needs, priorities, wants, and desires.
exactly.
Not a thing about chiropractic.
Right.
It was all about what they want naturally. That's why it works so well. So yeah, I would imagine after the third one, if nobody else said yeah, you'd have been happy to get out of there with three.
I was greedy. I admit that. I was kind
Yeah.
of greedy.
Yeah. So you go to the next one, and how easy was the fourth one?
It was easy.
Fifth one?
It was easy. Fifth one was easy.
Sixth one?
Sixth one was easy. It was easy.
You
Yeah,
just signed up. You just signed up six people that had no intentions of going to a chiropractor. You created business out of thin air. Now, let's say your case average is say 1,000 to 3,000. Let's just say your case average is $1,000. You just created $6,000 out of thin air, didn't you?
right.
But
Exactly.
you actually created more than that. How are we going to create more than the 6,000 out of that?
Because we're going after their circle of influence.
That's right. We're going to go after their spouse. We're going to do the same thing with their spouse, their kid, their mother, and their father. So those six people will, within 30 days, will bring in easily another three or four. So now you're at 9, maybe 10. And out of those three or four, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go apply the system to the spouse, the kid, the mother, father. So by the time you finish, it's going to be six, maybe 6, 3, and 2. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11. You're looking at 10 or 11 total from one presentation, $10,000 if you're $1,000 case average. If you're at a 3,000, 30,000. Between 10 and 30,000, you created out of thin air. And that presentation took how long?
20 to 30 minutes.
How long?
20 to 30 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes. You created it. Okay, so you sign everybody up. How you feeling when you're walking out of there?
I'm feeling great. I'm I'm feeling I'm feeling great. I'm on cloud nine. I'm like, wow, This is awesome.
How'd you feel about the content, delivering that content? How'd that make you feel?
I was surprised, as a chiropractor, we feel like we gotta throw so much in there. We gotta say so much. We gotta really educate them. And I was surprised that I didn't have to say more than what I did. It
Right.
was enough. Yeah, it was enough.
Yeah. Because what you did say was what mattered.
Right.
And they don't, you found out they don't care about chiropractic, do they?
Nope, not really.
Were they just anxious to listen, to learn about the chiropractic philosophy?
No.
And I say it all the time. They'll care about the chiropractic philosophy when you care about the dental profession philosophy. So you did the right thing. It's called reverse engineering. You applied it. You helped to establish the need. You minimized the obstacles of time or money. You signed them up. And just like that, you created 6, you turned it into 3, turn those 3 into 2. You go from 10 to 11 new patients. You know how to keep the patients. 77% of them prepay. How quickly is it going to take to build a practice doing that?
Mm, Not long at all.
You're probably pretty excited to get back and do it again, weren't you?
I am. That's why I just came out of the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you shoot practices up. Oh, by the way, what was your total cost involved to get 6 new patients?
That first night I only spent uh, what was that for the 6 new pay? It was like $70, $75.
$75 to make $10,000. You know what kind of return on investment that is?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to give a better return on investment. Maybe selling crack cocaine. Spend $70 to make 10,000. Yeah, I'm like that. That's the difference knowledge and skill has. Could you have done that prior to joining my consulting?
No way. No way I could have
Matter of
done that.
fact, you were stuck just kind of getting by, weren't you?
I was just getting by.
You didn't even know how to get new patients, did you?
No, I didn't.
Now, the great thing about Chris learned patient retention first. So he started learning how to keep it, and practice comes up. Then he learns the educational sales. Now he knows how to get new patients. He did it again to 2 more patients, got them. And then Chris also learned personal injury. And you've already given what, 2 or 3 personal injury attorney presentations?
Uh, four, four
4.
personal president. Yeah,
And so
more
you're
so.
already getting regular personal injury referrals every month?
Yeah, I'm still working on that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still working on that. Yeah.
So he's at the trifecta. You got patient retention, new patient marketing, personal injury attorney referrals. All you do now is turn it up. Now you can see you better have your systems in place, right?
Yeah.
You better have your space. You better have your labor. You better have your equipment. You better have your training, right? You can see that now. You better have
Yeah, I
everything
can.
in place now that you know how to turn it on.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so
Yeah,
that's why I
definitely.
say this is going to happen real fast, real fast. You're just going to be shooting up unbelievably fast. And by the way, that's how we started all our offices. That's how all our offices went from 0 to 100 patient visits a week in 90 days. We just did a few presentations, learned how to keep them, learned how to create referrals them, and kept going. That's it. So you're in a unbelievable spot. You now know how to create business. You have the knowledge and skill to create more business than you physically can handle. Now, that's where you're headed into. You've shown you have the ability to do that. Now, that's going to come up fast. That's when your whole world is going to change because what you're able to do. Once you know how to create new business and keep it, you're going to be able to bring on associate doctors. What does that mean? It means you're going to have more freedom. If you want to spend more time with your kids, family, take vacations. It means you're going to have your easiest source of passive income when you know how to do that. Because you now know how to create more business than you can handle your first associate doctor, your second associate doctor, and your third associate doctor. You now have that ability. And then you can open satellite offices. You can sell offices. You can open personal injury satellite offices. You are in the beginning of a multi-million-dollar business. That's where you're at right now. Why? Because you know how to keep patients and you know how to get them. You're a new patient, more than what you physically can handle. That creates a tremendous leverage in a ton of other things you can do as far as leveraging time and money. So, all right. Would you like to add anything else to about how that presentation went?
Um, I was just reflecting back on everything you said, and I was thinking about where I was before I started with you. And I can see exactly why I was only seeing 35 to 40 visits a week
Yeah,
because I didn't have any of these systems in place, and I was just thinking about ways to go after that 8%.
right. You now know what you didn't know.
Right,
Right. So, well, you deserve it. You put the time, effort, and energy in, you deserve it. So, that's a huge chiropractic success story when you can create more patients. In other words, you're not limited to waiting for 8% of the population to call you now, are you?
right.
You can do as much business as you want the rest of your life. Any
If
questions?
I could say one more thing, Doc,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so, just to tell the other doctors, you're just gonna be blown away of how easy it is once you do the presentation and you get the patients in, you're gonna be blown away of how easy, because the thought is I'm thinking how this is like too easy. I don't see how this presentation is gonna work. And I was just so shocked that it worked so well. But it was like a pleasant surprise. Such a pleasant surprise to know that this system in place, educational sales, was so easy and it could have such benefits. I was most surprised about that in a good
And we
way.
made it easy for you just by putting it in the outline. You just follow the outline, right?
Just follow the outline. I
Oh, you
just went
did.
right with the outline
Yeah,
and yeah, it was great.
yeah. Any questions for Dr. Chris?
Chris, how often are you doing this presentation? Are you like once a month, a couple times a month?
Yeah, good question. So, I have it set up I got two set up for September. So I'm gonna do it bi-weekly for a while. Now that everybody's, back in school and back from their trips and stuff like that. So I got scheduled at two different restaurants, to do it, in September.
Nice. And have you ever had anybody take a video of it? Or can you have somebody take a video of it?
Yeah, I did a recording of one. It was an audio, it wasn't a video one yet, but Um, that's something to keep in mind. But I know I have an audio recording, but I don't have a video one yet.
Well,
Cool.
let me share with you the other reason why you want to record it. You want a video recording so you can repurpose it. You can take that recording, send it out to your patients. You can put it online. You can send it, you can do pay-per-click with it. You can now leverage that. So you do want to record it to leverage it. I mean, you want to record it just to see what you can do better, right? But you
Right.
want to record it to leverage it. So yeah, Chris ran into the back to school. So he did real well, and then he got caught right in the time period of the August back to school. And I just told him, I said, hold off. Everybody's all the moms are too busy getting their stuff together to get their kids to go back to school. And you got to be aware of the time slots. And I say this all the time, like after Labor Day, it's a great opportunity up until Thanksgiving. That's a great run to increase your practice, to go take your practice to the next level. Remember, there's 7 levels of a practice, 7. That's another good uninterrupted run to take your practice up to the next level. And then there's a small window, between Thanksgiving and the first 2 weeks of December. There's not much at all there at all. And then you don't try to do anything the end of December, Christmas to the new year. And then after the new year, you got another good run, say from January, February, March, up until beginning of April, spring break, when the parents go out of town for spring break for their high school kids and college, especially high school. That's another good run. And then from April to a little bit of a run till Memorial Day. And then from Memorial Day up until really the 4th of July, because everybody still stays in town in June. But after the 4th of July, like baseball practice, baseball's over, softball's over. So at the end of in July is when a lot of people take their family vacations. So that disrupts the practice. And then the first couple of weeks in August, the mothers are getting back to school. So you got to be aware of these windows and take advantage of them. So that's what happened. Chris did too. And he ran right up against the back to school. And I said, Chris, I'd just hold off and then kick back in after Labor Day. And that's what we did. We did the presentations where we did 2 a week until we went over 100 visits a week. And then the doctor would do 1 every 2 weeks until we hired the associate doctor. And then the associate doctor would do 1 every 2 weeks. That's how we got every associate doctor up to speed real fast also. We taught him how to do it so he could create his own patients. So we taught him patient retention, how to get new patients, so he could increase his business real quick. And so remember, it's fantastic when you alternate Wednesdays, do the new office orientation, because that's the presentation for the new patient orientation, right, Chris?
Right, which I just did yesterday.
Yeah, all you got to, now you're just going to focus on your patient's mother, father. Remember, that's way easier than a cold call. So you do the new patient orientation one Wednesday, do the, whether it's the cold call presentation. So you just switch off every other week. And that's how you just keep growing and blowing up your practice. Bring in your first associate doctor, keep doing the same thing, blowing it up, bring on your second associate doctor. Don't wait around for the 8% to call you. Okay, very good. But you're about to see, check back with Chris in about 6 months. He's going to be looking for an associate doctor. That's what happens when you know how to create more business than you physically can handle. Then he's going to have to learn how to hire, train, and manage it. Now he's going to have to learn something else. There you go. That's how you just keep going up the food chain. But there's a big difference in your quality of life when you're looking for an associate doctor versus seeing 70 visits a week. There's a big difference in quality of life.